Okay, guys, I am not dead. I'm not in a coma. I know some of you guys are like, shit. But no. So, where have I been? Basically, I've been dealing with life. Now, I've got school. I work like everybody else. Most other people I work. So I've been dealing with that. Now, we are nearing Thanksgiving break. I got like 3 more days of school before I'm off. 3 more days of work before I'm off. So I will start cranking out more videos once that time hits. But really, this video is going to be a little bit longer because I do have quite a few clips saved up, and I want to talk a bit. This is going to be a talking video. So if you don't want to hear it, mute the video, play some music, whatever, watch the clips. But if you do, I'll be talking a bit about Bounty Hunter and what I liked and disliked about it. So this first clip here actually isn't Bounty Hunter. It's I'd say about an hour or two before it was released. We were kind of just dicking around, waiting for it to be released. And I'm finding a guy named Sad Life. I believe he also makes YouTube videos. I believe he said that. So if you guys are looking for another person to watch while I'm dealing with life sometimes, go ahead and check him out. So basically, I had to suicide this guy because he did kill me one time before this, but we had 3 or 4 fights and it was pretty evenly matched. So I just decided to suicide him, kind of do a kamikaze type shit here with a vengeance and what's it called? Fucking nuke, whatever it's called in curses. So yeah. Now, what I want to talk about Bounty Hunter is, quite frankly, I was quite a bit disappointed with it. I know some of you guys were also, a lot of the people that are in my clan and that I talked with were disappointed about it. Yeah, so first thing I kind of disliked about it, and I honestly was counting on to kind of help revitalize PvP, is protect one item. Now, this was extremely controversial, especially in my own clan. People were like, yes, I want no protect item, or yes, I actually do want protect one item. So really why I personally was, and why a lot of the other people who didn't want it, was because really it would kind of balance out the gear difference between new PKers and veteran PKers. So, take noxious weapons, for example. I strongly dislike them, and no, it's not because I can't afford them, unlike most people. Basically, it's because they're too overpowered, in my own opinion. So, let's talk about Deathlow starts. Pretty strong, but while they're really strong, they've also got a range gap. So you can balance out a bit. So if you have someone fighting with a royal crossbow or say a black salamander, something like that, or a Zarite bow, they can easily balance out that fight by running some of their abilities, that type of stuff. But noxious weapons, they don't really have, besides of course Noxious Scythe, they don't really have that range gap. So yeah, there's nothing to really balance out a fight. So when you have a new PKer, say he's coming from old school, say he's in the same gear that you see me in here, and he starts fighting a guy in full Malevolent with Noxious Scythe, how do you think that fight's gonna go? Especially if he's using Godbook. And I saw a lot of that happening. You'd see someone who was clearly from old school or a new PKer because they weren't eating properly, especially when the Godbook, they didn't know what the fuck the Godbook was. Even SparkMac, I think he came back. I saw him trying out Bounty Hunter, and I watched his video on it, and he was like, what the fuck's going on? People are barraging me? Basically, he doesn't know what the fuck a Godbook does in RuneScape 3, and that's how a lot of new PKers are. So, basically it's a huge disadvantage for new PKers. So you can kind of see in these videos how low my elo rating is. Basically, that's because I would just skip people who were in prod gear, that type of stuff. I even had some of them start ragging me because I skipped them, because apparently they thought I was just going to feed them a kill. Which kind of leads me a bit into the next thing I kind of disliked about Bounty Hunter, which is people constantly trying to sell and buy kills. So if another person was selling and you didn't want to buy, you actually wanted to fight them, lots of times they would just camp multi with a team, they would camp edge wall, or they would rag you with prayer, that type of stuff. Which basically is what people do in without Bounty Hunter, except for now you get penalized for not fighting that person. So really, the buying and selling of kills, it's not worth it at all unless you're at tier 10 and you can afford to pay like 5-10 mil for someone to feed you a kill. And even then, there's no guarantee of an emblem upgrade. So if you're buying a kill, just earn the kill. That's literally what I said to people who wanted to buy or sell a kill is no, earn it. And I had a lot of people grab prod gear in response to that and say, okay. Now, why isn't Bounty... Well, honestly, it's already dead besides people who would normally be on World 2 or World 18. It's already dead. There's not really any new PKers anymore because they all essentially got cleared by these prod gear and everything else. So, in the future, I can see Bounty Hunter completely dying, mainly because they're not really going to add, at this point, I can't see them adding any new rewards. I even asked Mod Pi, and didn't get a response. So, it would be nice if Jagex would have a Q&A where actual PvPers can, like it was a set PvP Q&A, where we could ask them, hey, what is your long-term goals for PvP? What do you intend to do that will basically create this long-term revitalization? Because I'm extremely interested in what their plan is, because they spent 4 months on Bounty Hunter, 3-4 months at very least, and it died within the week. So, most PvPers, most PKers know what the issue is, and you would have thought that Jagex would have caught on to it. Basically, there's nothing to teach new PKers how to PK. We've got all these tutorials for cooking, skilling, all that. PvP, it's just skipped over. We have tutorials for bossing, but we don't have any tutorials for PvP. Really, the only tutorials are ones that YouTubers make, and a lot of those YouTubers are making the tutorial in max gear. So when a new PKer comes out and tries to copy that tutorial and isn't in max gear, the outcome's pretty self-explanatory. So, yeah, Bounty Hunter wasn't the best that I thought it could have been, but it did have a few solid points that I liked, such as the elo system. I liked it. I liked the idea behind it. It's just the execution wasn't the best. I was getting fights with people who were like level 98, basically because we had the same elo. So what Jagex didn't take into account when they were doing the elo system basically was not everyone is going to be going for those like top ranked PvP spots. You've got people like me who just PvP for fun. They don't try to get anything such as fame from it, anything like that. Basically, they're just doing it for themselves. So you had people skipping targets and that type of stuff. And I think the lowest I dropped was like 1100 rating. And I was getting level 98 targets. And I was 2-hitting them because they've got like what? At some of them, yes, there's some of people who are level 98 that are max accounts that reset their defense, that type of stuff. But I was getting targets with like 70 HP, 80 HP, and I can one-hit that. Maybe not the 80 HP, maybe I would need a little bit better gear. But I hit a 614 on one of the pures. It was one of those Kayat pures that you see running around. I was extremely surprised. Props to him if he's watching this. I know he said fuck you a few times. But it's understandable that he was pissed off because he's fighting a maxed combat stat account versus 1 defense. And so props to him basically because he didn't do what typically those Kayat pures do, which is farcast while praying. He actually decided to man mode it and he fought me. Yeah, he did say fuck you, but it's understandable. So really what we need for long-term PvP revitalization, and this is what I've said multiple times, is we need people to be introduced to PvP as a part of the game that's there and that they should enjoy very early on. Like, at very least in the tutorial at the beginning when someone starts an account. And secondly, why not turn Mr. X? Keep him doing what he's doing, but also why don't you make him like people can talk to him for advice on PvP? Or why don't you kind of maybe not contract them, but ask some of the YouTubers that you guys use for PvP ideas and that type of stuff, why don't you ask some of them to make PvP guides? And why don't you recommend those guides to new PKers? And finally, why don't you do a PvP Q&A where like PvPers who are actually interested and want to contribute and help you guys revitalize PvP, why don't you take questions from them and answer them honestly and really take into account all the PvP, everyone ranging. So we'll just say a PvP spectrum. You got the good PKers on one side, the not so great PKers on the other side. Why don't you take everyone's opinion instead of just taking those, quote, top PKers that only use max gear? Because if you want to revitalize PvP, it's not going to be based on people using max gear. It's going to be common people. Maybe they've got a few mil that want to get into PvP. When I started PvP, I was not the richest person. I remember really my first big purchase in RuneScape was a Saradomin sword for, I think it was like 11 point something mil, 10 point something mil. I had to grind at flesh crawlers there in the stronghold of security or whatever for like a week straight. Every time I got home from school, I'd hop on RuneScape for an hour or two and just kill flesh crawlers. Back when RuneScape was fun. Because it was definitely a better game when we were all noobs. I'm sure a lot of you guys can agree to that. But you want to bring in these newer PKers, but you don't have your ideas to bring in the newer PKers are, let's just implement a new way to PvP, that type of stuff. But you don't give them any guides, any tutorials, anything like that in order to get them started. So when they first go in, there's that huge knowledge gap and skill gap that is almost impossible to cross without some form of help. I know when I fight a new PKer and I kill them, lots of times I'll try to find them and say, hey, try this and this and this. And usually those people are really thankful for that help because they want to learn how to do this. Now occasionally you will get the person saying, fuck you, you're bad. yeah, that happens, but 9 times out of 10, the other person's going to be thankful and they're going to take that information that you gave them and actually try to implement it later. I know a few different people that I've seen in the wilderness have approached me and asked me to help them. And I believe to the best of my ability, like I said, I'm not the best, but I do a pretty good job. So yeah. So it's been about 2 or 3 minutes without any clips here, so sorry. Kind of droned on like usual. But yeah. So thank you guys for watching the video. Thank you if you guys have waited patiently. I haven't gotten any death threats yet, so for that I'm thankful. So without any further ado, thanks for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. So fingers crossed that we kind of fix this PvP situation here soon, and I hope you guys all have a spectacular day. Oh yeah, if you guys want someone to thank for me actually uploading a video because I was just going to wait another 2 or 3 days, yeah, you can thank, I believe his or her name was Mrs. Rambo. Basically, he or she said, Shiz, I've been waiting for a video for like a week now. You need to get your ass in gear. So yeah, here's that video. Thank you for getting my ass in gear, and I hope you enjoyed it. So, I promise this is the last you're going to hear from me for this video. Thanks for watching, guys.